Welcome in. It's the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Patrick Allen Matt Verderame here for your Thursday show. And a really big week for us, Verderame, because this is the last time y'all are going to hear from us until some of you have the chance to meet us and see the show in person this weekend in Kansas City. How you doing today, Verderame?
I am doing apparently better than you. You're dealing with a migraine. I've been there. That is, you're also dealing with internet issues, which I've also certainly been there, to the point I actually became a running joke on the podcast for about 2 months on end. So, you all might be hearing a lot more from me today, as I'm willing to step up here. Listen, I cannot wait to get to Kansas City. I am leaving tomorrow. I know you are as well. You are flying. I am driving. I will be there at about 3:00 in the afternoon Central Time. I'm going to eat a lot of barbecue. And then if you guys, I'm assuming a lot of you, if you're on Twitter, you probably follow us already. If you don't, follow me on Twitter, because wherever I'm at Friday night after we eat dinner, I'm just going to tweet it out. And if people are in the area and they want to come and hang out, have a beer, have a drink, whatever, I'll be there. Happy to see everybody throughout the course of the weekend, even before the show. Of course, the show is Sunday at Tanner's Bar and Grill on Rainbow Boulevard in Kansas. Casey Beer will be there. We will be there. If you haven't RSVP'd, do so already. It does not guarantee you a seat, but it does allow you to get extra raffle tickets, a whole bunch of other stuff. I would suggest getting there early. Be there for like the early games. And then obviously we will do a pregame and then a live show and then a postgame show during Chiefs Broncos. So I really hope they would win this game. If they don't, the word apoplectic comes to mind, but that's that. Also, before we go any further, I will take this off Patrick's plate. We are sponsored by the Kansas City Beer Company. We're brought to you by them. KC Beer Co. is the largest locally owned brewery in Kansas City, and they're also the only brewery in KC to focus on German beer styles. I know I love the Pilsner, the Hefeweizen, the Dunkel, you name it. I love it. They do great stuff. If you haven't had it already, what's wrong with you? Get there. Even if you have to fly to get there, get there. They actually brew their beer according to Bavarian purity laws of 1516. They only use 4 ingredients: malt, hops, water, and yeast. It's absolutely delicious. It's an award-winning brewery. It has a terrific lineup of brews. So whatever type of beer you're into, KC Beer Co. has a style for you. Dare to be different, and please drink responsibly. And of course, 21 and over. Don't be a clown. All right.
Yeah.
So got that all.
You never drank before you were 21, right?
No, I'm an law-abiding citizen. I'm a person.
You're responsible.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I'm bringing, I'm flying Southwest, and they let you check the 2 free bags.
Beautiful.
Guess what? I'm bringing my carry-on. That's what the clothes are going to be in. Those other 2 bags, it's to fill up with KC beer and barbecue paraphernalia.
That's great. I'm literally going to empty out my car, and I mean this genuinely. Other than the front 2 seats, and I'm just going to fold the air seats down. I have a Jeep, and I am just going to load the car with KC beer. I want to have enough.
Take those seats out.
I just can fold them right down. They like disappear. So
yeah,
I'm folding right down. And I'm looking to have enough. I'm going to bring home enough beer that'll last me until the draft when I go back out to Kansas City. So that's the goal.
Yeah.
I need like a fridge in the garage. Really, is what I need. I don't have that. But
you don't have a basement fridge.
In the winter, it should be fine just putting it out in the garage anyway.
No basement fridge.
No, I don't. No, we my in-laws do. So maybe I'll even stock some over there. Although my father-in-law might drink some, and he's a beer connoisseur. Evan says Matt's going to get pulled over and questioned. Yes, probably. Yes. I accept that. I say none of them are going to be open. So hey, it's fine. It's whatever. Can do that. Beer's got to get the home somehow.
Going across state lines, though, I don't know. We'll watch out for that.
Not shipping it. All right. So I'll be all right. But anyway, KC Beer Co. Get there. Can't wait. We're going to be there on Saturday doing some stuff. And then Sunday, they're going to join us at Tanner's Bar and Grill over on Rainbow Boulevard on the other side of the state line, just on the other side in Kansas. All right. So let's get into this. Chiefs and Broncos this week. It's the first time they're matching up this year. We of course know the Chiefs are on a heater and a half against Denver. They've won 13 games in a row. I wrote about this. It's going to go up on Friday. This is the 4th longest win streak by one team over another in NFL history. So it's tied for the fourth longest streak. I think the Chargers and Raiders. The Chargers beat the Raiders a whole bunch in the 2000s. The dominance is getting to the point where it's borderline unparalleled. I mean, the longest streak ever, for those wondering, the Dolphins beat the Bills every time they played them in the 1970s. So that was 20 straight games. That's the record. But the Chiefs are putting it on Denver. Here's a fun game. I know you got a migraine, so I don't want to make you think too much. So in these 13 games, the Chiefs have started two different quarterbacks, Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes. Denver has started 7. How many of those quarterbacks can you name?
Oh, God almighty. This doesn't go back to Brock Osweiler, does it?
He's not. No, he's not one of them.
It's not Brock. Oh, God. I can't even remember the clown shows that they've had, probably because my brain is swelling up.
No, it's because they're
Jesus,
terrible.
I can't remember any of the Broncos quarterbacks right now. None of these guys. Did they start? God, I can't remember. Who was the guy that was starting for him for years? It was terrible. And then I am a complete blank. This is great.
All right, so I'll read to if you guys can guess it in the chat here. So Evan says Trevor Siemian. Yes, he started 3 of the games. Drew Lock started 4 of the games. That's right. And he says Paxton Lynch, which is true. He started the game against Mahomes in Mahomes' first start. The other 4 guys are Peyton Manning, who started the first game of this streak, and Osweiler replaced him.
Oh, isn't that when Manning had like a meltdown? He threw like 4 interceptions and they benched him.
Josh Malga had like 2 of them. It was insane. Yeah. So, so that's 4 of them. Then they had Case Keenum for 1 season. He started twice.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had Teddy Bridgewater last year. And this is the one that everybody forgets. And Caleb just said it. Kudos to you, man. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco was the one who started against Mahomes the game Mahomes got hurt. So they've had 7 different quarterbacks over this stretch start games for them. They've had 3 different head coaches. Hackett's about to be the 4th. So it's been instability central over in Denver. But yes, this is the 4th longest streak in NFL history. The Chiefs are looking to, of course, elongate that. They have this game, and then in Week 17, they match up on New Year's Day at home against Denver. 9-3 versus 3-9. Look, my thing with this is you have a game where you could really make a case, like, who's going to come out with vim and vigor in this game and who's going to be flat? Like, Denver's coming off a game where Lamar Jackson got hurt really early. The Broncos managed to score 3 field goals the entire game, and they were still winning 9-3 with less than a minute to go and found a way to lose 10-9. Kansas City seemingly built up the Cincinnati game like it was a Super Bowl in December and still managed to lose it. So I'll actually toss a question at you. Who comes out flat in this game? Is it Denver because they're 3-9 and they've been brutal recently? Is it Kansas City because they come off this loss and they put so much into it? Is it neither one or is it both?
I think if anybody's coming out flat, it's Denver. Just because of where they're at this season, it's completely lost. Many of them seem to actively dislike their quarterback. They probably don't have a lot of faith in their head coach right now. And this game just doesn't mean anything. Now, they are at home, so they might be able to get juiced up a little bit for that, but it's not even in prime time. They got flexed out because they're so bad. For the Chiefs, if the Chiefs come out flat in this game, then you might as well put them on life support. Because if they're not pissed off and focused, Travis Kelce in particular, after what just happened to them against the Cincinnati Bengals, I question if this team has the heart that we thought it did. But I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. So, by the way, before I answer my own question, injury report literally just dropped, exact same as yesterday. So Bolton limited with a groin, Kadarius Toney limited with a hamstring. Everybody else is full practice. So everybody else, barring something weird, should be able to play unless they backslide. They should be good to go. Denver's has not come out yet. Now, Denver's missed. Denver on Wednesday, a lot of guys, highlighted by Dalton Reisner, who, of course, is a good guard for them, and he's from Kansas State. And Cortland Sutton with a hamstring. And it was said yesterday by Nathaniel Hackett that he does not – I think the exact wording was it doesn't look good for Cortland Sutton to play on Sunday. So that's obviously worth watching because Cortland Sutton is the best receiver on the Denver Broncos. We'll see if he practiced at all. But it would be surprising if he's able to go. All right. I think both teams are going to come out flat in this game because I think Denver to me is deader than hell at this point. I wonder if that Baltimore game is really fine. Is like the final nail in the coffin. Like you give up 9 points against a backup quarterback, or excuse me, you score 9 points, and then you lose against a backup quarterback in the final minute because you can't stop him from going like 90 yards. I just think if you're the defense, you've got to just be like, what are we doing? What are we doing at this point? Like it's just so cooked emotionally. I wonder about the Chiefs though in this game from an emotional standpoint because they really built that Bengals game up. I mean, they talk crap, the whole deal. They're all into it. And I was watching the New Heights podcast with Travis Kelce and Jason Kelce. Now, I know that probably was recorded on like Monday. But Kelce even flat out says, like, yeah, I've been having a hard time getting excited and getting up for playing this week, like because of the fumble and everything else. And, I mean, does that change over the course of the week? Maybe. I just wonder if the Chiefs, after putting all their eggs in that basket against Cincinnati, they come out a little bit in this game like, it's Denver, whatever. I hope they don't, but that's my fear in this game, is the Chiefs just come out very rote and underwhelming, and it takes them a while to get going. That doesn't mean they're going to lose. Denver can't score a point, but I could see the Chiefs coming out very sluggishly in this game. That's my feel on it.
Yeah, and you have to give Denver credit, at least on the defensive side of the ball, despite the fact that they're on a 4-game losing streak and they've lost they're 1 for their last 8. They come out on defense every week and play hard. 17-10 lost to the Titans, 22-16 lost to Vegas in OT. They got railroaded by the Panthers. I don't know how that happened, 23-10, and then 10-9 against Baltimore. So, is this the week that the defenders throw in the towel and say, the hell with this? Why are we going out here killing ourselves? These guys can't score any points. But a lot of proud guys on that Denver defense. The Chiefs should beware.
Yes, and their injury report literally just came out. And so DJ Jones, new to the injury report, he's a good defensive tackle for them. Did not practice with a shoulder injury. Reason they're still out with shoulder and back injuries, and Sutton did not practice as well. Everybody else was either limited or full, so we'll just kind of keep an eye on that. But look, I mean, the Broncos, let's also be real here. The Broncos are missing a million guys. I mean, Tim Patrick's out. Javonte Williams is out for the year. I mean, Tim Patrick was out the first day of practice, I believe, second day. I mean, Chubb was traded away. This is a team that, Bowles is out. Like, this is just a team that at this juncture is a shell of itself. I would compare the Broncos mostly to what the Rams were when the Chiefs played the Rams. I mean, now, obviously, Russell Wilson, for as bad as he's been, he's better than Bryce Perkins, I think. But the rest, like, it's otherwise very similar. Like, it's a team with really no weapons to speak of. It's a team that defensively is good. I mean, Denver's better than the Rams defensively, but it's a team that's playing out the string. It's more of a veteran than a young team, so we'll see. But I could just see this being a game where both these teams kind of come out a little flat, and it's a little ugly early. Now, other thing I wrote here on the rundown, if the Chiefs do come out and play well early, and let's just say they get up 10-0 in the first quarter. Let's say that offensively, Chiefs come out, Mahomes is sharp, Kelce wants redemption, whatever. And they get up like 10-0 in the first quarter. Do you think Denver will dig in and play with pride, or do you think Denver will roll over and quit?
I think it comes down to how the Chiefs defense plays if that situation arises, right? If they are mentally focused and they don't give up, just, they don't do something stupid like blow a coverage, they have a chance in that scenario to really get after the Broncos and make them roll over. But if they leave the door open on the defensive side of the ball because they can't stop the run, or they're not where they're supposed to be, or Nick Bolton's running backwards instead of towards the line of scrimmage again this week, then Denver's going to get inspired, because this is a division rivalry. There's no love lost between the players on the Chiefs and the players on the Broncos. Don't think the Broncos, if Hackett, and of course I don't know how good of a coach he is, so he may not have mentioned this, but if he's talked to them about this winning streak that the Chiefs have against them, that should be a motivator for them. But who knows? I could see them rolling over. Their season is toast, man.
Yeah, I think it's really important that the Chiefs get up early in this game, because I think if they do, I don't know that I think Denver will quit. I think though their fight will be taken out of them a little bit. I think if they know that they're down 10 points against Kansas City, like just the way their offense has played this year, I think defensively it's going to be like, well, what's even the point? We're not going to win. Can't score. I will say this though: if you're the Broncos, this is your Super Bowl. This game, like this is because they're not beating them in Arrowhead. They're not. That is the game I can see the Chiefs beating them by 30 points. This is the one game, like, if you're Denver. Now, I do think it hurts them, actually, that it came out of prime time. Like, if it's prime time, if you're building prime time, like, I think it actually does hurt Denver a hell of a lot more. It hurts the Chiefs if it came out of prime time. Because with Denver, it's like, all right, that's just another game. And it's not even a standalone. It's a 4:05 game. Like, it's just a late game because they're out in, mountain time. That I think does kind of hurt them a little bit.
What do you think their crowd will be like? I mean,
I think
you're sitting there.
Fans at this game.
Yeah, like would you rather go watch your terrible Broncos team at an afternoon game, not Sunday Night Football, play the Chiefs, or would you rather get your Christmas shopping done? Like, I'm serious. Right. People think about this stuff. Like, they're like, man, I'm selling these tickets to I don't want. Don't sell them to Chiefs fans. I got shit to do. It's the holidays are coming.
I think it's going to be to start the game, a very apathetic crowd. I think you're gonna have a lot of Chiefs fans at the game. I do. I mean, let's be honest. If you were a Broncos fan, would you want to go watch this? And if you're a Broncos fan, you got to look at it from the other side of it too. A lot of Broncos fans are probably going to sit there and say, "Look, we're going to get killed this week." I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you're a Broncos fan, you're not like it's like when the Chiefs sucked and the Broncos had Manning. You weren't like, "Man, can't wait to watch this game." Like,
right.
You're going to get smoked. Who the hell wants to see this crap, right? So, look, when you look at Denver, we'll get into all the matchup stuff here in a minute, but Denver's just the only way to me that the Chiefs lose the game is the way they lost to the Colts, which is just a million mistakes and all kinds of crap that they do to leave them in it. We'll get to that in a bit. But no, I think it's going to be crowd-wise. I think it's going to be a pretty docile crowd, especially by Denver standards. Say what you want. Broncos fans are great fans. They're loud as hell. They're hard to play against. I think if the Chiefs allow the Broncos to stay in the game, it becomes a problem. If the Chiefs can pull away and get up by 10 points, then I think it becomes one of these things like, all right, Tom Hood, by the way, says if Broncos score 20 points or more, Spags should be fired. I'm actually with you. On the field at the 50-yard line. I mean, Denver can't do anything. So I'm right there with you. All right, let's get into, I mentioned earlier, the Broncos are beat up. Okay. So Tim Patrick, wide receiver, he's out. KJ Hamler, he's out. Garrett Bowles, Pro Bowl left tackle, he's out. Javonte Williams, running back, he unfortunately tore some ligaments in his knee earlier this year against the Raiders. He's out. Bradley Chubb, who was by far their best pass rusher this season. In fact, he still leads the team in sacks. He's gone. He was traded after 8 games. So you're talking about a lot of guys. And then I mentioned earlier, Cortland Sutton likely out. We'll see with Dalton Reisner. He might be out. Hasn't practiced yet this week. I mean, Denver's missing a million guys. For the Chiefs, with Cole Hardman, he's still got one more game on IR. My understanding from talking to people around the team, could be back for the Houston game. That's the hope. But other than that, Chiefs pretty healthy here. Everybody's practicing at least to some extent. Bolton and Tony are the only guys who have been limited with a groin and a hamstring, respectively. Everybody else looking to be good to go. So you would think in this game, health-wise, Chiefs have a huge advantage. If Sutton cannot go in this game, and again, it was said earlier this week by Hackett, they don't expect him to. That's an enormous blow. Sutton has 688 receiving yards this year. Only has 1 touchdown, but he is by far the most productive receiver. Leads him in first downs, leads him in targets by 30, leads him in yards, leads him in receptions by 18. Like, not having him is enormous. Now, Jerry Jeudy will be there. Greg Dulcich, who's a rookie tight end, he's actually played well. He's only been in 7 games, just 319 yards. So he's done a pretty nice job. They'll have Kendall Hinton, who's going to be the number 2 receiver in this game. Only has 273 yards, though. Like, really has been very much just a guy. And then after that, it's Melvin Gordon and KJ Hamler. Well, Gordon's on the Chiefs now, and KJ Hamler's on IR. So
right.
It's Jeudy and it's Dulcich to some extent. And while I'm not denigrating either guy. I mean, combined, they're averaging 97 yards a game, Jeudy and Dulcich. So, like, this is a game where the Chiefs' health should be much better, and that should play a big factor in how this game goes.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs, obviously the big thing for the Chiefs on offense here is they've got to deal with this pretty good pass defense of the Denver Broncos.
Yes.
Despite all the troubles that this team has, they are third. They're only giving up like 184 yards a game. That's third in the NFL. It is not easy to pass against these guys. Now, of course, the Chiefs are the best offense in the NFL. They rack up the most yards. So they should be able to have a little bit of success no matter how good the defense they're playing is. We've seen them play. They lit up the San Francisco 49ers, who weren't playing as good around that time. But right now, that defense is pretty much lights out. It's absurd what they're doing to teams as far as allowing points. But you can run a little bit on the Broncos. They're giving up about 120 rushing yards per game. And this is a game where, much like you mentioned, the Rams game, I think the Chiefs come out maybe with a similar game plan here. Try to pound Isaiah Pacheco in there, get Jerick McKinnon involved, get their running game going, and try to neutralize a little bit of what Denver does really well on defense, and that's defend the pass.
Yeah, look, and we're going to get into their numbers here in a second, but Denver's defense is really, really good. Now, I talked about this with Ben Heisler on the show this afternoon. We're talking about the gambling aspects of the game. I'm very interested with Denver this week in terms of like defensively. Look, I think they're absolutely very good defense, but it's also a little bit of a weird thing to evaluate because their offense is so bad that if you're the opposition, like you're not going to be aggressive against that defense. You're not going to take chances. You're not going to try to really stretch them. Why would you? I mean, basically, you need about 17 to 20 points to win the game. You just don't want to turn the ball over. You want to play field position, right? I mean, that doesn't mean Denver's not a very good, capable defense. I'm not trying to throw them under the bus. I think they are. I'm just saying it's a game where I do wonder, like, how many teams have really tried to throw the ball a ton against Denver? Why would you? I mean, realistically, why wouldn't you just run the ball at them, play a ball control style attack? I mean, if you're up 10 points on Denver, the game's over. So, I mean, right. One would think you would run the ball. Plus, Denver's trailing a lot, so you're going to run the ball. You're going to play that style. I think if the Chiefs execute, they'll be fine. Like, the one thing with Denver, and again, we're going to get to the stats here in just a second, not a great pass rushing team. Like, with Chubb not being there now, like Draymond Jones leads the team with 5.5 sacks. After that, it's Baron Browning with 3.5. I actually like him. He's a good-looking rookie. 3.5 sacks. And then it's like 1.5. 1. Deshaun Williams is 2 sacks. 1, 1, 2, 1.5, 2.5. Like, it's not – there's nobody on that team without Chubb. Like, that guy's a big-time pass rusher. So I think in this game, like if the Chiefs just decide like they're going to drop back and throw the ball, like Surtain is incredible. He's a great corner and he's going to shut down whoever he goes against. I don't know that they're shutting Kelsey down. I don't think if anybody can guard Kelsey. Justin Simmons is a terrific safety. He's not guarding Kelsey one-on-one. So like, that's where I kind of fall on this. Like I think Denver is very good defensively. I don't know that they're the dominant defense that some of these stats lay out because of the offense, in a weird way, almost helping the statistics because nobody has to be aggressive against them.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. They're so putrid on offense. It's like there's the bottom, and then there's 10 crap, and then there's the Bros offense. I mean, this could be a game like, and this game could tell us a lot about the Chiefs defense because I'm not too high on them right now. And maybe I'm being a little unfair. Cincinnati's got one of the better offenses in the league. They're on the rise. They struggled with them, but they're one of the best offenses in the league. But this is a game where I got annoyed, and maybe this isn't fair either, but I got annoyed when they gave up a touchdown to the Rams. Like, I was annoyed. I was like, they should not be giving up a touchdown. They should be holding this team to 3 points, 6 points. Like, they should not be able to get in the end zone against our defense. And I feel the same way going into this game against the Broncos. Like, the Chiefs should not allow a touchdown in this game.
I hear that. I mean, my feeling on it is if they allow one, I can live with it. They better not allow any more than that. Like, Denver can't score. If they give up more than 13 points in this game, I'm going to be pretty annoyed. Denver is an absolute car wreck of an offense. Now, they average like just under 14 a game, but that factors in earlier in the year when they had all their guys, okay? And they had Sutton, and they had Javonte Williams, and they had Garrett Ball. I mean, this team is a skeleton crew. They're brutal. Now, the Chiefs defense, look, I've killed them all week long, and rightfully so, okay? Most people have. I will say this, though. If you want to look at it from an honest perspective, they've been an average defense statistically this season. They've been an average defense. They're right in down the middle on most statistics in the league. The only thing they're really bad at is in the red zone. They're terrible in the red zone. Which that ought to be interesting this week because Denver is by a mile the worst offense in the red zone. So that should be quite a matchup. But, when they played the Colts, I know they lost the game in ridiculous fashion. The defense was great in that game. They didn't lose because of the defense. They lost because their offense and their special teams just conspired to essentially bet against them and give the game away. Defensively, when they've played underwhelming teams, they've been good against them. They were very good against Jacksonville. They were very good against Tennessee. They had one drive where Tennessee ran the ball up and down the field on them. Other than that, the Chiefs really shut them down defensively. They were very good against the Cardinals early in the year. They were excellent against the Rams. I mean, they gave 10 points. So this is a defense that when it's played bad offenses, it's largely shut down. The Bucs are the only weird one, but that's a game where, frankly, the Chiefs were up 21-3, and it became a thing where the Bucs just threw the ball every single down. And the Chiefs are kind of trading time for points. I mean, the Bucs never got close in that game. I got to be fair. The Chiefs, they scare the hell out of you sometimes defensively the way they play. But when they've played bad teams, they've largely done well defensively. They don't give up a ton of points. It's not like they've just been giving up a crap ton of points to these teams. So I think the Chiefs defense will play okay in this game. My concern, honestly, is offensively. Is it just going to be a game where do they come out pissed off and they roll up 27 points and they just blow them out? Or is it one of these games where they turn the ball over and they take penalties and they're kind of out to lunch and the play calling doesn't make sense and it's 7-6 at halftime? And, and as Jake says, I'm so stoked to see Verderame live and in person on Sunday. Well, let me tell you, Jake, if this game's close, you're going to see one hell of one because I will lose my mind if they're close with this team. But I have a feeling they're going to be because I have a weird feeling about this game from an emotional perspective. I really do.
We're going to, and I hate to disappoint you, Jake, we're going to try to keep it family friendly at Tanner's. We're going to try to keep a lid on the F-bombs for Verderame. Families could be in there. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the Chiefs, I'm really interested to see how the offense responds in this game because as stout as Denver's defense can be, I think a lot has to do with JuJu Smith-Schuster in this game. How right is he? Is he out there? Is he able to contribute in a meaningful way? I think if he is, I know Kelsey's going to come to play. I find it hard to believe. Travis Kelce averages about a fumble a year, right? He's not happy about what happened. He wants to wash that bad taste out of his mouth. If you saw Mahomes on the sideline after that game, he was banging his helmet he was pissed. So I think Mahomes, Kelce, they're going to be ready to roll. Now, that doesn't mean that it's impossible for them to meet resistance. But if JuJu Smith-Schuster's rolling and he's back, I think Denver's going to have a tough time stopping this team. I saw somebody in the chat asked if we thought Kadarius Toney would be out there. Look, he's been limited. I mean, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this, Verderame. My thinking with Toney is he's suffered from hamstring injuries. He had one earlier this year in New York. Now he's had one in Kansas City. Those are notorious for lingering. Just ask Julio Jones. The Chiefs really need that guy and his dynamicism for the playoffs. This game against Denver, I know if the guy's healthy, you want him out there. But if they have even a question of whether or not he needs more rest, the Chiefs have enough on offense to win this game. There's no reason to rush him back out there and set him back and reset the clock. I want him for the Seattle game. I want him for the first round of the playoffs.
Totally agree. I don't know. Look, I think you can't risk it. If he's not ready to go, then he can't play. I mean, there's no reason to be trotting him out there, and taking any real chance. There's no point. There's no point.
Right.
By the way, as far as Kelsey's interesting because he's had some weird games against Denver in his career. So since Mahomes has been there, his yardage total in these games, 78, 79, 44, 142, 31, 136. Now, last year, 27 and 34. Now, this is a totally different defense for Denver. So it's kind of hard to compare all these things. I went back and looked. interestingly enough, now, and again, I don't know how much any of this matters because Denver's got a new coach, a new quarterback, new coordinators, all that stuff. Mahomes is 9-0 in his career against Denver. He's only thrown 12 touchdown passes in those games. Only averages 253 passing yards a game against Denver. However, Spagnuolo has been God with a clipboard against Denver. So in Kansas City, he's coached against them 6 times. The Broncos are averaging 12.3 points per game in those games. I mean, Spagnuolo's just completely shut him down. Now, again, different team, but this offense is the worst one he's faced yet. I mean, they can't score at all. So that's something to keep in mind. The one thing I will say, and we haven't touched on it yet, and I want to touch on it right now as we get ready here for the preview. Like, the biggest advantage in this game is the coaching. I mean, I get on Andy sometimes with the way they play on Sunday and certain things they do. Andy Reid is Belichick, Hallis, and Curly Lambeau rolled into one compared to Nathaniel Hackett here. I mean, let's be like Nathaniel Hackett is so bad as a head coach. That to me is the biggest advantage. The Chiefs are just going to outcoach the hell out of them in this game, honestly.
Yeah.
That is, if you said to me, what are you sure about in this game? I'm sure about that. That I'm sure about.
Yeah.
Denver's defense, really well coached. Offensively, Denver is one of the worst coached football teams I've ever seen. And I'm not exaggerating. Like, literally, I've watched, I don't want to say every snap of Denver this year. I've probably watched 90+% of them.
Oh, God bless you.
I know. And that's why they pay me the big bucks. I mean, Patrick, I'm not kidding, man. It's brutal. Like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And not even just like, oh, Wilson can't throw the ball, ha. Like, I mean, even just like routes and concepts. Like, they will, I can't tell you how many times you'll watch them in a game and you're like, did they run the wrong route? Was it called like that? Like, what happened there? Like, 2-3 guys end up in a spot where they're 5 yards apart from each other. You know, what the hell was that? Like, and then Wilson will throw the ball. Like, you know, they'll have a guy break wide open, and it's actually like a pretty well coached up situation. And then he'll throw the ball like into the ground at some other guy. You know, like, did he not know the progression? I mean, there was a report out there a few weeks ago that some people around the team confirmed that he was calling audibles that they don't even have. That like they're for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what you're dealing with going into this game. Like, this is what you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about a team that is just absolutely useless offensively, which leads us into the preview. So, look, the Chiefs, depending on the book, they're laying 9 points. Chiefs are a 9-point favorite on the road. Total is 44, which I think is high. I know normally the Chiefs are in like the high 40s, low 50s. This game, you're basically asking how high can the Chiefs get? Here's the primer, statistically speaking. So the Broncos are 1-8 in their last 9 games. They started out the year 2-1. Since then, 1-8. They're the worst offense in football by a litany of metrics. I started to list them, and I was like, I'm going to be here all day. They're horrible offensively. Defense has been great. Here's a stat for you that we talked about earlier on the show with Ben Heisler. Denver this year in 12 games is 11-1 against the under this year. 11-1. So if you're a bettor and you're looking for a play, that might be the way to go. And then the other note I wrote down is Nathaniel Hackett likely one and done in the Mile High City. Offensively, Denver ranks 26th in yards per play. They've allowed 38 sacks, which is 29th in the league. They're 17th in yards per pass attempt. They're 30th on third down. They only convert 27.4%. They're 32nd in the red zone, 37.5%. And they are both dead last in yards and in points per drive. So they're bad, man. Like there's no other way to put it. Defensively, they're 4th in yards per play against. They're 1st in yards per pass attempt. They are 19th in yards per carry against. So you can run on them, as Patrick mentioned earlier. Here's one thing I thought was interesting, though. They're 4th in blitz rate. They blitz a ton. But they're only 15th in pressure rate and 15th in sacks. So they blitz a lot. They don't get home a ton. They're about average in terms of getting home. And, of course, now without Chubb, a little below average. But I'm curious to see, will they blitz Kansas City in this game? Will they blitz like they normally do? That's one thing to watch. They're 3rd in third down, and they're 1st by a mile in the red zone. They are a great red zone defense. So, look, Denver is very good defensively. They are absolutely brutal offensively. I saw a stat earlier, and I was going down this stuff. The Broncos this year have punted 72 times. 72 times. Nobody else has punted more than 66. 72 times for Denver. The Chiefs have punted 31 times. Denver is more than doubled the punt total for Kansas City. I mean, that's how bad they have been offensively. But obviously, again, a very good defense. Also, defense is on the field all day long for Denver. They're constantly out there, but they've held up.
It is staggering how bad they've been offensively. I mean, I don't know if you've mentioned this yet. Coming into this game, Russell Wilson has 8 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, Mahomes throws 5 in a game sometimes. Yeah. They can't score. And that's why I'm really looking for this Chiefs defense to step up. And one thing about Russell Wilson is he doesn't turn the ball over a lot interception wise, because he's only thrown 5 interceptions throughout the year. So that's not terrible, but he gets sacked a ton. And so this is a game for the Chiefs, I think, who were red hot rushing the quarterback until they went up against the Bengals. This is a game for them to get their groove back. But I'm interested to hear from you in his career, not necessarily this year. But you know what? He's actually, I'll give him this. Russell Wilson's still he's still trying the deep ball. He's got completions of 55, 51, 47, 66, 67. So he'll still chuck it up there, right? He's not good at matriculating the ball down the field. If you're Spagnuolo in this game, do you blitz like crazy and allow for potential bad matchups down the field where he's able to chuck one up? Or do you play more conservatively against this offense and just, make them move the ball down the field?
I would not play cover 0 because I don't want to give up some big bomb, but I would play a single high safety. I'd go after him relentlessly in this game. I would. I've been consistent all year in saying I think the Chiefs defense should be about takeaways, be about forcing negative plays. It should be about situational football, third down, which it's been okay at, red zone, which has been awful at. That to me is what this team should be about defensively. Now, I will say this. You don't want to give up a cheap touchdown to this team because you got to make them earn it. They're so bad. But I think if you keep a safety back, you should be able to do that to some extent. They have nobody. Like Sutton's probably not playing. We'll find out officially on Friday, but it doesn't sound like he's going to play. Who's left? Jerry Jeudy. Like, that is it, man. They're brutal. If I'm the Chiefs, I am relentlessly. Wilson doesn't run anymore. You know he's not going anywhere. I mean, every once in a blue moon, he'll scramble out for 10 yards. It's rare. I mean, this year, Russell Wilson has run for 158 yards, averaging 14 and a half yards a game. So he's not going anywhere. Jeudy has 514 yards in 10 games. Okay. If you look at his game log, the first game of the year, he had 100 yards. He's not touched 100 since. His games the rest of the year, here are the totals. 11, 17, 53, 53, 54, 96 against the Jets, 63, 0, 65. Like, I am more than willing, if I'm the Chiefs, to challenge the hell out of the Broncos in this game. Keep a single high, shade him over Jeudy, who's definitely their deep ball receiver. Okay, I think he's got like 4 or 5 plays over 30 yards. And say, go ahead and beat me. Because Kendall Hinton, listen, it was a nice story. He was forced, people might remember that name. He was forced to play quarterback for them during that COVID year when they had no quarterbacks left, and he had played at like Wake Forest. I mean, this year, his receiving totals in these games, 20, 27, 39, 8, 14, 62, 57, 35, and 11. He's the number 2 receiver on this team if something doesn't play. Like, he's got 3 catches over 30 yards. If I'm the Chiefs, I'm just going after Wilson and saying, you know what, man? Single high, man. I will tell you guys one thing. I swear to God, if they get into zone coverage against this team, my brain's going to leak out of my ear. I hope Tanner says a mop. Okay? If they play zone coverage against Denver, I'm going to lose it. Get in man coverage and just take this team out of the game. If you can't cover that, if McDuffie can't cover Kendall Hinton, give it up. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Would you go after him or would you back up?
I would play it a little bit more safe. I think occasional blitzes, but definitely no cover 0 because I feel like that's the only thing Wilson has left is to chuck up that deep ball. And with the young secondary that the Chiefs have, why even run the risk of getting somebody panicking and getting a pass interference call? Because this defense has shown the ability to stop people. And so if you give up a cheap touchdown, all of a sudden we're all feeling nervous because we're like, if the offense is struggling against a respectable defense, now we give up an easy touchdown. I mean, they're on the running game. They're leaning on Latavius Murray right now, who's, almost out of the league. He's averaging 3.9 yards per carry this season. He had one good game against Carolina where he went 13 for 92. Last week against Baltimore, 17 carries for 47 yards. 2 weeks before that against Vegas, 17 carries for 49 yards, 2.9. He averaged 2.7 against Tennessee. Like the Chiefs should have Denver in third and longs all day long. So, if you want to bring one extra blitzer to create a little bit of extra pressure, but they should be able to get after Wilson because he should have to be waiting for guys to get downfield to try to get past the sticks. So if they can shut down the run and put themselves in favorable, don't get into a situation where, they're in a 2nd and 2 and you're sending an all out blitz and then you get hit over the top for some big play. I think if they do that, they're going to be fine. Just stop the run and put them in a bad situation.
So one thing over Pro Football Reference, which I love to use. So look, this year in 11 starts for Russell Wilson, he's already been hit 10 times more than he was hit a year ago when he started 14 games in Seattle. He has done nothing in terms of play action yardage. Like every year he's over 1,000 yards play action passing. This year he's at 576. So like obviously he has 5 more games to go, but he's on pace for like 800. He is averaging the worst in his career in terms of yards per scramble attempt. He's only scrambled 20 times all year. Now, one thing I did find very interesting. So in his career, he's not been a guy, even though he's smaller, he's not been a guy who's got a lot of passes batted down. This only goes back to 2018. So in the last 5 years, this is the highest number of times so over the last 4 years prior to the season, he had 16 balls batted down at the line of scrimmage. This year alone, he said 12. If you don't get home, get your hands up. I think a lot of that is short passes, balls on a lower trajectory coming out quick. Get your hands up. The Chiefs are usually pretty good about that, to be fair to them. Karlaftis has had some. Dunlap's very good at it. Jones is excellent at it. Your hands up, bats and balls, maybe even get a pick out of it. I know he's been brutal, man. Like you look at passer rating, which I'm not a huge fan of, but like he's well over 100 every year of his career. He's at 89 this year. Like it's, his passing touchdown percentage, which like 100 is average. The worst he's ever been before this is 94. He's typically well over 100. He's at 76 this year. Like if you're the Chiefs, for the love of God, man, get him under some pressure and go after him. Like he's taken 37 sacks in 11 games. Sometimes he'll take big sacks. Like he'll scramble backwards instead of sideways, and you could sack him for 12, 13-yard losses. Like I think no matter how they play him, whether in terms of aggressiveness and blitzing and whatnot, the only thing I'll say in this game, I feel like almost every week, because I truly believe this. You have the horses. Get in man coverage. Get in man coverage in this game. Don't give him a bunch of easy throws. These receivers are not Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. They are horrendous. Get up on the line of scrimmage and challenge them. I mean, this is not that difficult. If you can't beat this offense up, you have like 5-alarm fire problems.
And it's a chance for the Chiefs defense to gain some confidence, especially after last week where they couldn't get a stop when they needed one. This is an offense. Come in here, take them to task, do your thing, get a little bit of swagger. This Chiefs defense does not have any swagger when they're out there, no matter who they're playing. I'd love to see them playing more downhill, playing with speed, run into the ball carrier. This migraine. Run into the ball carrier. Instead of just they so often, particularly against Cincinnati, they were just waiting for the ball carrier to come to them. Yep. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm standing at the sticks. I'll just wait for him to get here and make sure I don't miss his tackle. And then they'd miss the tackle anyway. Doug in Kansas says, Matt and Patrick, do you think JuJu has too many hits to the head is okay? Have you heard anything this week, Verderame, about him last week he did get hit in the head. He's coming off the concussion. He goes in the tent. He came back in the game, didn't do anything. Has there been any talk about him?
Not in the protocol, not on the injury report. So it appears to be fine. You know, I mean, I guess you never know, but I mean, he appears to be fine. I have not asked because he's not put on the report. So if he's not on the report, the team's telling you he's good. Yeah, the head thing against Cincinnati, wasn't it like he hit into the turf? Like he dove or something, or he fell forward?
As I remember, he kind of got like whacked in the back and fell on his face, is what in my mind, the picture from the replay.
By the way, let me tell you something. Film Friday is coming out tomorrow. And I went back and I watched the film of that game. I would not advise that people sit back and watch the defensive film of that game. That is, you think it was bad watching it live? Go rewatch that and count the mistakes. And I hope you have a calculator because just wrong coverage, not getting a drop deep enough, blowing a coverage because you don't understand where you're supposed to be on the field, 4-man rush with no stunts or twists. Oh my God, that game. We could have done a film I could have broke it down for 2 hours. How many times that they just made mistake after mistake after mistake. I mean, just
how much of it do you think was scheme versus the poor play? Like if you had to divide it up into percentages, scheme versus poor play.
I'd say poor play 60, scheme 40. I thought the scheme was really bad. I thought it was really bad. But the reason I'd say 60-40 poor play is because, like, to me, at the end of the day, no matter what scheme you're playing, you got to be able to get to where you're supposed to be. You know, when you play zone defense, you have landmarks and you have reads, and you got to be there. Like I'll tell you guys right now, the film Friday, the breakdown I did was on a play where they were in zone coverage, and it shows you why they should never be in zone coverage. And I actually said it in the video. Of course, I didn't break down 2 plays in a row. It would have been for 20 minutes. The play right after the one I break down in film Friday, I swear to God, you guys can go fact check this. The next play, they do the exact same thing, give up 1 more yard than they give up on the play I covered. Like they literally do the Bengals ran almost the same play, like a little bit of a variation. Chiefs did the exact same thing, gave up 37 yards on 2 plays. Just couldn't cover it, couldn't even be bothered. They are not beat, or they're not built. They're not built to play zone coverage. They're a disaster in it. So I blame Spags for that. But I also, to me, it comes down to, you got to tackle somebody. Like, Spags, it's not on him, man. Like, somebody's got to tackle. You know, the last play of the game, Justin Reid is in another zip code. I don't know where he's, I know he's in 2 deep shape. I get it. But, you're supposed to just drive the ball if you see that on 3rd and 11 with the game on the line, nobody's running a go route. You got to be there, man. He's 15 yards away. I would have, maybe made that point, but he had his own issues on Twitter this week, which actually, by the way, real quickly. So we don't have to get all the way into this. I woke up, what was it, Tuesday, and I'm seeing all these people tweeting about Justin Reid. I'm like, what? What's going on?
First thing.
I'm like, are we talking about what he said during the week? What's going on? And then I went to click over to see what he said, but in a first, I'm blocked by Justin Reid on Twitter. I'm guessing because I made a comment that he did a great job of guarding the pylon on Sunday. So that might have been why. Fair enough. I understand that. So I'm like, I can't even see it. And I asked a buddy, I'm like, what did he say? And he sends me a screenshot. I'm like, oh, okay. That's about as soft as it gets, man. You got roasted as a defense. 431 yards, 27 points. You lose the game. You're the reason you lost the game. I understand Kelsey fumbled the ball. I get it. Bro, it's so soft. That is so soft. And you're out there essentially I played well. First of all, no, you didn't. Okay?
Nope.
No, you didn't. The only time I saw you was Samaje Perine just throwing you down like a child. Okay, number one.
Yeah.
Second of all, even if you played the best game of your life, your team stunk in the game. I don't want to hear you up there I played well. What do we think? Can you imagine Mahomes did that? Can you imagine they lost a game, whatever, 34-31, and Mahomes been like, well, I balled out. whatever. What are we doing? Bad luck, man. Bad luck.
You and I were texting about it, and I talked with Sterling about it. Sterling Holmes, our co-host on 810 on Tuesday night. And a lot of people think, and I tend to agree, bench his ass. Bench him for a half against Denver. I mean,
no problem with it. I don't think they will, but I would.
You know,
I would.
We know that during the week that Andy Reid said he doesn't like the trash talking, and that he talked, he relayed that he talked to Reid about it. So now you wake up after they lose. If Andy was mad about him talking during the week, I cannot fathom how angry he was when he woke up and he's got people chirping, Andy's not on Twitter, but I'm sure assistant coaches or whoever are like, Reid's doing it again on Twitter. And I think Andy has to send a message. I think this is important because that side of the ball is not playing well. Like, you don't see this crap, and it's on Spags as well, because you don't see this crap from the offense. You don't see Kelsey or Mahomes or Joe Tooney going out there, and the advantage the offense has is they got a bunch of veteran professional guys over there, and the defense has a lot of young guys and not a clear leader anymore. And I put it on Andy and Spags. They need to talk to him. And then the other two people I put it on the defensive side of the ball, it's Chris Jones. Chris Jones, I know he's the emotional leader. He lets his play on the field do the talking and stuff.
Yep.
He needs to corner that dude in the locker room or speak up to that whole defense. And he's been in the league for a long time. He's the best player on that defense, one of the best players on the team and in the league. He's got sway, and he needs to speak up and say, who are we going to be as a defense? Follow my lead. Chris Jones he trash talks on the field, but you don't generally see him too much in the media. And then Patrick Mahomes. Like, I think it's to the point where I know it's not his side of the ball, and sometimes guys might scoff at that, but he's Patrick Mahomes. He's Patrick F. Mahomes. Like, he needs to go over to that guy and be like, dude, shut the hell up. Like, do your job, play that. We need you out on the field. We need you focused, because you don't want your guys. They're trying to focus on Denver. And people are asking them about Justin Reid said on Twitter. And like, I know maybe it doesn't make a difference when they're out there, but you don't want any energy being spent still worrying about the Cincinnati game. Watch the film, burn it, and move on to Denver. And you got this guy out there, and he's dragging you back into last week. And that's how you run into a trap game.
To me, the worst part of it is, look, he goes on Twitter. He says what he wants to say. Fine, whatever. I don't think he should. Okay. But my problem with it is, like, I saw a lot of people like, well, Honey Badger did a lot of that. The difference, Honey Badger was also like a defense player of the year candidate for them. Okay. Say whatever you want about Tyrann Mathieu. And a lot of people give him a lot of crap. Tyrann Mathieu is last year in Kansas City was not the same player he was the first 2 years. But I'll tell you right now, they're not winning the Super Bowl without Tyrann Mathieu. Okay. Tyrann Mathieu one day, in my opinion, should be in their Ring of Honor. They are not winning the Super Bowl without that guy. He completely changed that defense. And he was the emotional leader. And he got on Twitter and he said this, that. And you know what, though? He wasn't out there talking crap to the other team. He'd sometimes go back and forth with the fans. I don't think that was the smartest thing in the world. But he never, he wouldn't attack the team and then they'd lose and they'd be talking shit afterward. Like, it's embarrassing. Honestly, it's a horrible look. It's a loser's look. And if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm a player on the Chiefs, I got to be honest with you. If I'm a big-time player on the Chiefs, I'm pissed. I absolutely, if I was Mahomes or Chris Jones or Travis Kelce or one of these other guys, I'd pull him aside and be, hey, look, man, we don't do that shit here. Like, I don't care what was done in Houston or whatever else. Like, Houston, you guys didn't win crap. In fact, Justin Reid, you were on the other side of that 51-31 game. Okay, you were the one who had that fake punt. You got tackled by Sorensen. Like, I would not be sitting there okay with that if I'm in the Chiefs locker room. Like, you need to stop. And I don't care if you think you had a good game. Who gives a shit if you had a good game? Isaiah Pacheco had a good game. I don't say Isaiah Pacheco on Twitter like, yeah, it wasn't my problem. We lost that game. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And that's, to me, my biggest concern about Chiefs. I said this a lot last season. And I haven't said it up until now about them this year because I don't think it's warranted, but I do in this instance. Last year, I felt like the Chiefs had no accountability defensively. None. Like, I feel like there was just no, they would, how many times last year would they blow a coverage or whatever? Like, nobody ever really seemed to be that upset except for Matthew, who was screaming at Sorensen and everybody else in the team. Against Cincinnati, when Kelsey fumbled the ball, you could see how pissed off he was. Like it visibly bothered him. If you watch his new podcast, like it still is bothering him. When is the last time a Chiefs defensive player looked that pissed off because they missed a tackle, or they blew an assignment, or they didn't bring a guy down on a sack, or they gave up a touchdown? When's the last time they've looked like that? Like, I don't want to hear
Eric
Justin
Berry.
Just I mean, I don't want to see Tyrann Mathieu. I don't want to see any of these guys on this defense talking about anything unless you're Chris Jones. Chris Jones wants to say something, fine. He's earned that right. He's got jewelry on his hand. He's been a Chief for a long time. That guy's a Hall of Fame level player. I don't want to hear a word out of anybody else in the Chiefs defense. Not a word. I don't want to hear that of Frank Clark after the game talking about, we didn't have our best effort today. That's great, Frank. Thanks. I don't want to hear it out of any of the rookies who haven't earned it yet. I don't want to hear it out of Bolton, who's been up and down this year. Okay, or Gay, who was suspended for a month. I don't want to hear it out of any of these guys. Look, man, you need to go out and play better. That's it. And by the way, if they play really well against Denver this week, I don't want to hear a word that they shut down Denver. Okay?
Right.
Go out, do your job, shut your mouth, and play football. Look, these guys are human. I have no problem. These guys want to be on Twitter. They want to interact with people. They want to talk about ball. That's fine. But when I say shut your mouth, I'm referring to if you give up 27 points and you give up 431 yards after you talked a ton of smack the week prior and didn't even know what you were talking about, by the way, while you were doing it, maybe rein it in a little bit after the game.
Yeah.
Nobody needs to hear from you in that situation. I think most of the guys in the locker room would say the same thing.
And Juan Thornhill getting it. Listen, I will never defend fans being shits on Twitter, messaging guys and being like, you suck, get out of town. Those guys, they're the worst fans. They're bums. They don't deserve the oxygen. That said, it's going to happen. It's not Chiefs fans, Browns fans, Texans fans, Cowboys. Doesn't matter. Every fan base has these knucklehead, knuckle-dragging, mouth-breathing, paste-eating idiots who get on Twitter and say outrageous, stupid shit to players like they're not loyal to the team or you suck today and worse. But if you're a professional football player, what are you doing getting on Twitter in the locker room after the game to see what do you expect? What do you think is going to happen? And look, you're a professional. You get paid millions and millions of dollars. Get the hell off Twitter. Who cares? Don't look at it. Don't respond. You get paid to not respond. You get paid to not do what Justin Reid did, what Juan Thornhill did. You get paid to play football. If I whatever, you're working down at the grocery store and the mechanic shop, and you get in it with somebody on Twitter, it's not going to impact anybody's job over there, right?
Right.
But in the NFL, where you got media, everybody's getting asked about it, your teammates, and it's high stakes, and you're getting paid that much money. If I was Clark Hunt, I'd be like, nobody tweets. You don't tweet if you're a Kansas City Chief. We don't need it. It's completely unnecessary, and you get paid millions of dollars not to bring it into the locker room.
My advice to any player would be, listen, man, everybody's a person. Everybody, they're just like the rest of us in terms of they want to be involved in social media, all that stuff. I'm fine with it. But I honestly, as a rule of thumb, if I were a player, if we lose a game, I'm not going on Twitter for 24 hours. Just because it gives you time to cool down. Emotions are running high. Fans their emotions are running high. Just let everybody cool down for 24 hours. Just get away from it. You win the game, whatever. You want to go on there and fine, who cares? But you lose the game, I'd back away from it for a little bit because nothing good's going to happen. Nothing good's going to happen. There are times that, and I am far from the public figure or an NFL player is, but there are times I've thought about tweeting things I have an opinion on, and I'm like, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Don't click send, man. Sometimes you don't have to have an opinion on everything. You don't have to have a commentary on everything. And yeah, you're right. Juan Thornhill didn't say anything necessarily wrong, but he's going to get crapped on for it because they just lost the game. He didn't play particularly well, right? I mean, he was on the unit that played poorly. I just think Justin Reid in that moment on Tuesday morning, dude, just stop. Just don't say anything. Even if you think what you tweeted, leave it to yourself. Just keep it to yourself, man. I'm never going to be the person who's, that famous, shut up and dribble. I don't believe that. I think that's garbage. You are a human being. You just happen to be a professional football player. That's fine. You have every right to give your thoughts on anything you want to give it on. But in that instance, when you just got yoked, I mean, maybe it's not the best idea for you. Like for you as a player and a person and an athlete, it's not the best idea to open your mouth and be like, well, you know, I actually think we played well that game. No, you didn't. Like, I watched the tape, Justin. You did not play well in that game. And were you the biggest problem on that defense? No, but you're part of the defense. And you're the one who talked. You're the one who was like, oh, I'll tell you what, we're going to shut them all down. No, you're not actually. So it is. All right, look, let's move on real quick here before we go. And we head to Kansas City here. We're in less 24 hours. We'll be there. What is your prediction for the Chiefs and the Broncos? Do you think they win? Do you think they cover the spread? Where do you fall on this?
I really wanted to predict just a total Chiefs blowout, 40-4 in this game, 2 safeties. Like I really wanted to, but like this, I'm having some trust issues with the Chiefs right now. I think they're going to be fine, but I kind of am leaning in your direction that they may struggle a little bit, come out a little flat, or be a little wonky early on after that game against Cincinnati till they get their heads screwed on straight. So I've got this game. I think Chiefs win. Chiefs 24, Broncos 12. I think they're going to come out and just give up field goals in this one, but I think the Chiefs might have some red zone struggles and we get frustrated. But if that 24 isn't put up early and it's, it's like a 1-score game going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. Listen, don't bring your kids to Tanner's. That's all I got to say. Because it's going to be tough. You see a grown man, 4 grown men cry. It's not going to be pretty.
Yeah. I have this game 23-13 Chiefs. I wouldn't touch the spread if I was a gambler in this game. I would take the under. I think the under is going to hit. Look, I don't. The reason I can't get to the idea that Denver is actually going to beat them because Denver is just so inept. I just can't. I think Denver is so bad. I think it would take the Chiefs doing what they did against the Colts. Like just a full-blown meltdown. Turnovers deep in their own territory, a pick six, a crap like that. Like just the kind of game that is nightmare fuel. A pick six to Surtain, a strip sack, a scoop and score, like stuff like that. I think that's what it would take. So in that realm, if I'm the Chiefs, I got to be honest. Offensively, I do what a lot of teams do against Denver. I'd be pretty conservative. I'd run the ball at Pacheco. I'd get the ball out of Mahomes' hands quickly. I'd tell him all week long, man, if there's not an easy throw to make, just throw it away. Just throw it away. Don't turn it over. That is the biggest thing I want to see in this game. So help me God. If they turn the ball over against Denver, I'm going to lose my mind. They have played 12 games this year. They have turned the ball over in 10 of them. Stop turning the fucking ball over. That is my number one thing in this game. If they turn the ball over against this team, it's the only way they're going to lose. It is the only way they're losing this game. So I am picking the Chiefs 23-13. I think it's right around the spread. Could I see it being a 7-point game? Yeah. Could I see it being a 13-point game? Yeah. I'll split the difference and say 10. Is there a world where the Chiefs just blow their doors off? Yeah, there is. I mean, there's a world where Denver just comes out flat and Mahomes comes out smoking and the Chiefs win this thing like 31-6. But Denver's only lost by more than one score once this season. So I'll say like 23-13. I like Clinton's 66-10 Chiefs. Why not run it back to 67? Which I know what you're talking about. That Chiefs Bears game, I believe, right? Wasn't that a crazy story like that? The preseason game, but that's where I'm at. And somebody asked, I think it was Jake, what bar I'm hitting on Friday. I don't know yet, but I'm going to tweet it out. So follow me on Twitter if you don't already, and I'll keep people updated. I know I'm getting in around 3. I'm going to drop my bags off the hotel. Well, who am I kidding? I'm going to drop a bag off. We're there for 3 days. I'm like packing a Target bag. And then, we're going to go to dinner. I'm not even sure. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like yet. And then after dinner, then I'm wide open and I'll be out and about for hours on end. So I will tweet out where I am. And if you guys want to come out and find us, do it. And we'll be there having some beers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Sterling and I are going to try to catch the KU Mizzou game at the Peanut. So just a heads up to any of our listeners, if you want to come by and say hi on Friday, I think that game's at 4:45, and then we're going to get some food.
That's on Saturday.
We'll the bars. Saturday. Yeah, I'm sorry. I've got my times mixed up here. Is that game on Saturday?
Yes.
Is it? Oh, I got to talk to Sterling. Yeah, and we'll be out on Friday hitting some dinner and stuff as well. So we'll be looking forward to meeting you guys. So again, the link is in the description of this video. We are just about out of RSVPs. Tanner's has got like a, they got a capacity. It doesn't fit 1,000 people. So it's almost all filled up. Again, RSVPing does not guarantee you a seat. So remember, the game's at 3:05. We're going to start our pregame podcast a little over an hour before kickoff. But the place opens at 11. I would suggest, like Verderame did, RSVP, get that ticket, because what that ticket gets you is 5 additional raffle tickets to all the shit we're going to be giving away throughout the course of the evening. And the first 50 of you to check in with us with a ticket get a really awesome prize. And I can just tell you right now, it is a hat, and I don't have the logo on it, but I'll tweet it out a little bit later. But it is a hat with a goat logo, and I believe we got the Mahomes ones printed out. So it's a goat on a hat with the number 15. It's got the Mahomes hair. And then I think we made a Kelsey one too. So I don't know exactly which all ones we got printed or which ones we'll have, but they're really rad. There's only going to be 50 of them. They're not for sale. And so it'll be a pretty cool keepsake from this event if you're one of the first 50 to check in with us. And you want to get in there and get your table. And why not make a day of it? We're going to be setting up, getting things ready around noon, 12:30. We'll start probably doing raffles and things like that. But when the games kick off, we're going to be setting up and doing sound checks and stuff, man. But like, we're going to be in the bar. We're going to be hanging out, shaking hands, talking to you, getting to know you guys, and rooting like hell for the New York Jets. Go Jets, man. I mean, like, if that's the game for us all to watch, because if the Jets win that one, Chiefs got a chance to get back on top in the AFC.
By the way, they can clinch the division this weekend. We should note that real quick. Right. The Chiefs can clinch the AFC West. They need to win, and the Chargers need to lose. So we could have a party, Tanner's, well into the night, depending on how this all shakes out. Chiefs need to win. Chargers need to lose. That's enough. It would be the 7th straight AFC West championship.
Yeah, and the Chargers are playing the Dolphins. They're the ones that got flexed into Sunday night. Dolphins coming off a loss to the 49ers. They're trying to get back on track. So like a perfect day in my mind is the Jets knock off the Bills. The Chiefs curb stomp the Broncos. And then we're all sitting there a few drinks in, watching and rooting on the Dolphins, who will still be, behind Kansas City in the standings, to take out the Chargers to clinch the AFC West for the Chiefs. So that sounds like a damn good day of football for me. I might not make my plane on Monday, to be honest with you, if all that goes down, but that's all right. I'll be stuck in Kansas City. Better places to be stuck, right?
That's right. So I'm taking my car. I can leave whenever the hell I want. All right. Yeah. Listen, everybody.
Yeah, I may have to hitch a ride home with you if I miss my flight.
Pay the gas. You do whatever. All right. Listen, everyone. Thank you for being here. Love having you a part of the Arrowhead Addict podcast. As always, not only the people who are here in real time, which of course you people are the MVPs of the show, but also all of you that listen afterwards. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And again, if you're in or around the Kansas City area, we really hope to see you this weekend, whether it be Friday at a bar, Saturday at a bar, of course, most importantly, Sunday at Tanner's. That is the main thing. Really want to see everybody there. We're going to go out of our way to spend time with people and really make it a good time, be really inclusive. So can't wait. Looking forward to it. And we will see you all really, really soon. So until then, for Patrick Allen, I am Matt Verderame. This has been the Arrowhead Addict podcast presented by the KC Beer Company.